Oberon Steelshroud. The village of Athel, nestled amongst the salt marshes and perpetually veiled in a soft, gray mist, was a place built on routine. Generations had tended the luminous kelp farms that thrived in the shallow waters, their lives dictated by the ebb and flow of the tide. It wasn't happiness exactly, but a kind of placid acceptance, a knowing that tomorrow would be much like today. The air tasted of brine and something older, something akin to forgotten languages whispered on the wind. Old man Theron, the village elder, often said Ethel wasn't found so much as remembered into existence. A curious notion, and one most preferred not to dwell on. We, the people of Ethel, were content, or, at least, we told ourselves we were. Then came the diver. He arrived not by boat, as one might expect, but from the sea. He simply walked, dripping and silent, onto the shore one morning, as if summoned from the depths. He carried no tools, no possessions, only a peculiar, intricately carved shell clutched in his hand. He spoke little, and when he did, his words were fragmented, as if echoing from a vast distance. He claimed to be a scholar, searching for fragments of the sunken library of Asmar, a library dismissed by most as a myth, a tale told to frighten children. His name, he offered after much prompting, was Silas. He was an intrusion, a dissonance in the otherwise harmonious rhythm of Athel. Old man Theron, ever the pragmatist, dismissed Silas as a madman, a wanderer afflicted by sunstroke and salt water. He speaks of books that breathe and corridors of coral, he scoffed to the village council. Fancies, nothing more. Others attributed his claims to loneliness or a desperate need for attention. The kelp farmers, practical folk, saw him as a distraction, someone who might disrupt the delicate balance of the harvest. They offered him food and shelter, begrudgingly, but kept their distance. Let him have his delusions, they said. He'll tire of them soon enough. Silas, for his part, seemed unperturbed by their skepticism. He spent his days meticulously charting the seabed, muttering to himself, and gazing at the horizon with an unsettling intensity. But subtle things began to change. The kelp, usually a vibrant, luminescent green, started to dull, losing its glow. The tides, predictable for centuries, became erratic, rising and falling at unusual intervals. And then there were the dreams. Villagers reported unsettling visions of submerged cities, echoing voices, and shadowy figures lurking in the depths. Old man Theron himself, a man of unwavering composure, began to exhibit signs of distress, pacing the shore at night and muttering about forgotten oaths and the price of silence. The shell Silas carried seemed to pulse with a faint, unsettling light, mirroring the growing unease in Athel. The air, once merely smelling of brine, now carried a faint, metallic tang. The fracture came during the harvest festival, usually a time of communal celebration. It descended into heated argument when Silas presented a fragmented stone tablet he'd recovered from the seabed. He claimed it was a map, leading to the entrance of the sunken library. Old man Theron vehemently denied its authenticity, accusing Silas of deliberately misleading the village. He seeks to awaken what should remain buried, he roared. A bitter dispute erupted, dividing Athel into those who believed Silas, drawn by the promise of knowledge and wonder, and those who sided with Theron, clinging to the safety of tradition and the fear of the unknown. The kelp harvest, usually a symbol of unity, lay untouched, rotting in the fields. Silas, during the height of the conflict, revealed the truth that shattered Athel's carefully constructed reality. He showed them, not with words, but with a meticulously crafted illusion projected from his shell, the history of their village. Athel wasn't remembered into existence, as Theron claimed. It was built upon the ruins of Asmar, the city deliberately submerged by their ancestors to conceal a dangerous secret, a powerful artifact hidden within the sunken library, capable of both immense creation and catastrophic destruction. Their ancestors hadn't been safeguarding the world, they had been suppressing it, sacrificing knowledge for a false sense of security. Old man Theron, it turned out, was a descendant of the priests who orchestrated the sinking, tasked with guarding the secret through generations. The confrontation wasn't a battle of strength, but a clash of ideologies. Old man Theron, stripped of his authority and burdened by the weight of his ancestors' deceit, attempted to destroy the shell, to extinguish the truth. But the villagers, awakened by Silas's revelation, intervened. They understood that suppressing knowledge was as dangerous as wielding it recklessly. They chose to face the consequences of their ancestors' actions, to explore the sunken library, and to determine the fate of the artifact themselves. The tide, which had been raging during the conflict, began to recede, revealing a shimmering pathway leading towards the submerged ruins of Asmar. Ethel was irrevocably changed. The village no longer clung to the shore, content in its placid ignorance. It became a center of exploration, a beacon for scholars and adventurers drawn by the mysteries of the sunken library. The kelp farms continued to thrive, but now they served as a source of sustenance for those who delved into the depths. The air, once smelling only of brine, now carried the scent of discovery and the weight of ancient secrets. The villagers, guided by Silas and fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, accepted their role as guardians of knowledge, knowing that the echoes of the sunken library would resonate for generations to come. It was a precarious existence, a constant balancing act between wonder and peril, but it was, finally, a life lived in the light of truth.